Welcome to Your Fantastic Mind. I'm Jay Watson. This is a show where we explore the mysteries and the science of the amazing human brain. Sleep. Just say the word and people will have a reaction. Most adults will tell you they don't get enough. And it's true, we are a sleep-deprived nation. But what about when you have the opposite problem? When you can't stay awake? When sleep essentially hijacks your life and the only time you feel okay is when you're not awake? The condition that can mimic that famous fairy tale, Sleeping Beauty, is actually quite ugly and can steal people's lives right out from under them. Here's a look inside a condition called hypersomnia.
We talked a little bit about why you're here and what symptoms you've been experiencing. Sigurdsson, let's go.
Late on a Friday night.
We're blessed to be here.
Sigurdsson Jacobsen and his parents are in Atlanta.
Where we live, nothing has worked.
Over 3,000 miles from home.
They couldn't find out what was wrong with me there.
Home is Iceland. They have crossed the Atlantic searching for a way to help their son stop sleeping his life away.
When this started, I started to give him a hard time. I thought he was lazy and I was too hard on him, definitely. I didn't know what was wrong.
The craving for sleep began 6 years ago when Sigurdsson was 16 years old, an ambitious student and talented member of Iceland's national sports team.
Yeah, I slept through Christmas a couple of times, definitely. Like a few days after, I would still be sleeping like 20 hours.
He dropped out of college, quit sports, lost most of his friends.
People say it's just depression or vitamin something, problems with vitamins, and
Getting up is really hard to do.
As the years ticked by, Sigurdsson's bottomless need for sleep took over his life.
Did you ever think it was in your head, like a mental problem, psychological?
yeah, definitely a lot of times. Sometimes I was like, maybe I am just lazy.
A neurologist in Iceland finally accurately diagnosed him with idiopathic hypersomnia, which is defined as sleeping excessive amounts. It is thought to be a rare disorder that affects approximately 1 in 3,000 people.
How many milligrams, do you remember? 40, 60?
Sigurdsson tried medication and stimulants that didn't work. They kept his body awake, but his brain was essentially living in a sleep state. Life was a fog.
You're using the word tired and fatigued. Are those different than being sleepy?
Emory brain health neurologist Dr. David Rise, one of the leading experts in the world on hypersomnia.
When you listen to him, he sleeps too much. He has a hard time waking up. He takes long naps. He has sleep drunkenness. Those are the hallmarks of any sleeps more than 11 hours a day in a 24-hour period. That's hypersomnia.
When we go to sleep at night, there's an area of the brain that becomes active in the forebrain, the ventolateral preoptic area, VLPO. It uses the inhibitory neurochemical GABA like a brake to suppress wake-promoting substances such as histamine, dopamine, noradrenaline. At the end of sleep, this brake is released and people wake up. In people with some forms of hypersomnia, the brake is never really released. Sleepiness persists, seemingly due to the presence of a naturally occurring Valium-like substance that magnifies the sleep-inducing sedating effects of GABA.
That substance acts upon the GABA receptor to make the GABA receptor function more efficiently. So it sort of,
that's what puts you to sleep.
Gives you sedation, hypnotic sedation. This is like a sleeping pill, okay? So this agent, we've shown, acts at this same receptor in a very similar fashion as Ambien does, and that there are ways, different other medicines that can counteract or competitively get rid of that effect.
Rye treats close to 600 hypersomnia patients from the United States and several other countries. It's Rye's research, study, and use of a drug called Flumazinil that is having a life-altering impact for patients.
It's a drug approved by the FDA for people that are essentially overdosed or responding too well to benzodiazepines like Valium, or if you overdosed on it by mistake or intentionally.
When a typical person takes Flumazinil, there is no effect felt. But when some people with hypersomnia take it, it is a magic elixir. It counteracts the sedating effects of GABA and sleep-related pathways. After more testing and a sleep study, Sigurjin will be given the drug. It works for about 50% of patients.
This is my last resort. If this doesn't work, I don't know.
On your mark, go!
Anna Sumner is the poster child for what Flumazinil can do.
If you'd told me 6 years ago that this would be my life, I wouldn't have thought it was possible.
Over a decade ago, Anna was sleeping up to 18 hours a day. She had to take a leave from her job as an attorney. In her 30s, her parents had to take care of her. She saw Dr. Rai and his team.
And said, look, I'm either lazy or crazy, but I need somebody to tell me which one. This is one I was going to show you.
Rai gave Anna Flumazinil. At the time, she was the only person in the world taking it. Today, 100 physicians across the U.S. prescribe it for hypersomnia patients.
Today, I have everything that I never thought I would have.
That includes her career, a husband,
Are you ticklish?
a son. As for sleep, she gets 7 to 8 hours a night. It's no longer the center of her life.
Hi, I'm Anna,
Anna has come to watch Sigurjin take his first dose of Flumazinil.
and the man himself.
He was anxious to meet someone else who has hypersomnia.
Awesome. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you. So how did this all start for you?
With someone fluent in his suffering, Sigurjin is revealing.
Your will to do things just kind of dies. Yeah. It's just, and then you're always trying and trying again, and then it gets worse, and you just kind of die inside, from being tired all the time.
With his parents
And
and the medical team there, he takes the dose and waits.
what am I supposed to be feeling? I just...
Well, we don't want to tell you what you
No, I feel like before, so...
Yeah, but it's only been like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
A few minutes later,
I can feel this irritation I always had in my legs, and my body is telling me to go move.
You feel it now?
Yeah.
Really?
Just
like before?
just go running or go do something. I'm feeling something right now, actually. It's a weird feeling. I'm not sure what it is. It's in my... It's probably because of the tablet. Wow, it's kicking in right now, yeah. It's like...
Perfect time.
yeah.
I was laughing.
I'm so tickled back here.
So, yeah, it's...
talk more about what you're feeling.
I don't know how to describe this. It's like my eyes are being lifted up, and what? And yeah, it's a strange feeling.
Is it scary? Is it?
No, it feels good. It feels really good. And now I feel like too normal, too energetic. I don't know. I don't even remember feeling this.
happy tears and the sound of their son laughing.
What?
Things that had disappeared from this family's life.
Yeah, I wanna try it again, and it's an amazing feeling. It feels so different from when I came in this morning. I just thought I didn't sleep well, but after I take the medication, I don't feel tired at all.
Flumazinil is not a cure, but it's a treatment that can give people their lives back. More drugs are being developed to treat hypersomnia, and clinical trials are ongoing in the US and Europe. Some of those trials because of Rai's experience with Flumazinil. Research to better understand the genetic basis is underway.
Starting to crack that nut of the genetic component and will point probably to some biology, and we're in the process of doing that, and some other groups as well at Stanford Just got NIH funding to do that.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh my gosh, thank you for letting me see that. That was so cool.
Yeah.
There are only 2 people in this room who truly understand what it feels like to lose your life to sleep. And now they are both wide awake.
He hails from an iconic Alabama family that churned out some of the best football players in the state. There was something in the Goode family that made them faster and better than everyone else. Carrie Goode went beyond Alabama to the NFL, but it was years after the game that he began to struggle, and the strength that he always counted on started to slip away.
That look at it thing like his does it. We just get it up the best way we can.
This is Kerry Goode's exercise routine, an effort to stem a tide that has turned against him.
Putting us into the second period. His end-over-end kick will come down to Goode at the 1, across the 10, the 15, speed, and he's gone!
A gifted and humble running back,
Goodbye, Carrie Goode!
Kerry Goode was the pride of Town Creek, Alabama. He and all 4 of his brothers played for the University of Alabama. Kerry would go on to play and coach in the NFL for 11 years.
It's hard to imagine being in this position, even harder to be here and can't get out of it. Started out with breathing issues.
There were chronic sinus infections, weakness, cramps, weight loss. Kerry's wife, Tanja, saw the change in her husband one day through the kitchen window.
I saw him in the yard cutting grass, and I noticed that his entire posture was different.
After a string of doctor's visits, they were led to the devastating reason for the changes, ALS.
He really doesn't have an appetite. He just eats because he knows he needs to.
When we were first with Kerry in the spring of 2017, getting dressed on his own was a 2-hour affair. A brief walk,
We making it.
exhausting. He needed help to breathe.
I lost almost 60 pounds initially. You know, I go from 230 pounds, guy that played football. At one point I could bench 400 pounds, squatted over 800. Now I can't pick up a glass of water.
It's a disease that comes on out of the blue. The nervous system starts to break down. The way it breaks down is by pulling the nerve fibers or the wires that wire us together away from the muscles. And so what happens when your muscles aren't connected? Same thing that happens when the light bulb isn't connected to the wire anymore. It stops working.
Dr. G, how are you?
How are you? Hello, my dear.
Hi, dear.
No worse for the wear. I'll be okay.
No worse for the wear?
Yeah.
It has been 15 months since we were with Kerry. The losses are expected, but no less devastating. He uses a wheelchair and oxygen full-time. Emory ALS Center Director and Founder, Dr. Jonathan Glass.
Your hands hurt or your arms?
Hands, fingers, all this. Yeah.
Does that hurt?
Good.
What I'm doing right now?
Good sore.
His hands are failing him.
So certainly when you're sitting here in your chair, these fingers have to be extended.
What comes next is what Kerry dreads the most, the breathing test.
And blow. Blow, 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 blow. Gary, go, 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 go. Good. Take a break.
That's a big problem with finding a treatment for this disease, because you don't know what you're shooting at.
There is no diagnostic test for ALS.
We can't see the problem here except for the outward expression of it in people. We can't see it in the spinal cord. We can't see it in the brain.
1 out of 10 ALS patients has a family history of the disease. Over a dozen genes have been discovered, thought to play a role in causing ALS, but there is little that can be done yet for the 30,000 people in the country who have it. Most die within 3 years. Some studies have shown that NFL players like Kerry are at greater risk for brain and nervous system disorders. Could Kerry's career in football have contributed to ALS?
Oh, that's a good question. There are some people out there who argue yes, that somehow this thing called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, which is a real thing. People get hit in the head a lot, develop It's usually a dementia kind of syndrome, and they can develop things like Parkinson's disease, and we've known about that for a long time. And if you think about Muhammad Ali, the argument is that he had this kind of problem. We used to call it dementia pugilistica.
Glass, who treats close to 600 patients from around the country, says some questions can only be answered in death.
You know, I'm also a neuropathologist as well as a neurologist, and so I look at all the brains and spinal cords of patients who die. That's what I do. Yes, there are specific protein abnormalities that we see. There's a protein called TDP43, which actually is present in abnormalities, these abnormal protein accumulations in cells, in probably 95 to 98% of cases. In fact, I would argue that's your diagnostic test for this disease, but you can only do it post-mortem. So that's something you see in the brain. You see it in the motor cortex, the region of the brain that degenerates. You see that very prominently. You see it in the deeper portions of the brain called the hippocampus, especially in people who have dementia as well as ALS.
And that's what scientists today understand, that ALS and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are overlapping diseases, and that a breakthrough in one will be a breakthrough in all of them.
There's something about time and aging that interacts with the nervous system. The nervous system is fragile. It's probably more fragile than many other systems, and it breaks. And it's not that it breaks because there's necessarily something killing it. It may be that we have these homeostatic mechanisms that keeps it healthy. And those things have to be active all the time, all the time. I'm repairing this, I'm making sure this works. And then as you get older, maybe those things don't work as well. Maybe they get a little rusty, maybe they get a little slow. And those normal things that are constantly happening to us every day can't be repaired as quickly. And things start to change, and neurons start to die, and we start to see clinical features of that disease.
Dr. Glass says more pharmaceutical companies and biotech firms are working to develop drugs, and that genetic breakthroughs are helping scientists understand more about how this disease happens. That does not change reality yet for those living with ALS.
It ain't fair, is it?
Well, depends on what you're equated to.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of things ain't fair.
Yeah.
There are bad moments, even bad days.
Sometimes Carrie cry. And usually it's after he discovers he still can't do certain things, like write his own name. However, he just still keeps moving. He doesn't stay in that state very long at all.
Here, close to a field filled with young people pushing to be their best, his daughter among them, Carrie is happy.
The coach in me wants to get out and start correcting all the issues.
Tanja is his full-time caregiver, changing the dynamic of a marriage in which there are no secrets. You never thought your wife would be giving you showers?
Oh, not at all. And she's all over the place, and I have an order of doing things.
An order of washing? She does not respect the washing order?
No, not at all. It's kind of like, hey, head down. From the head down, not shoulder, face. I'm like, oh, God.
Those years in Town Creek, Alabama, prepared him for those years in the NFL, prepared him for now. The pep talk he gave himself before a big game has changed little.
It would be, concentration, more concentration. Stay in the moment. Don't get ahead of yourself. Things go wrong, don't go wrong with it.
Doesn't that hold true for now?
It does. That's one of the things why I like my kids playing sports. That's some of the things that you learn. Accept where you are, embrace it. Don't keep looking back. because it's not coming back.
Carrie Goode is a prime example of resilience, the ability to endure difficult circumstances and still push forward, still have a positive outlook. Then there are people not like Goode, those who couldn't find a silver lining if it was hanging right in front of their face. Turns out that in some cases, resilience is hardwired, built right into our genetic code.
There are things we do, like how we put on our socks or stir our milk. Then there is who we are, like the color of our eyes, the shape of our face, or the laugh that sounds like our mother. And now there is proof that resilience, that ability to bounce back,
all my degrees,
is sometimes hardwired.
Wow.
Part of our genetic blueprint.
Students from Keller, Georgia State.
Maureen Randall is moving into a new home after she and her daughter spent a year homeless.
It was long and hard. We left our apartment, it got flooded.
She is also
Master's in Business Administration.
Getting her doctorate.
I'm currently working on my qualifying exam.
Tradika Thornton's ex-boyfriend tried to set her on fire.
He threw gas on me and I was screaming and I couldn't see because I had gas in my eyes. So I screamed, my sister-in-law kicked in the door and he ran. So the lighter he was flicking didn't catch.
Through therapy, Thornton has recovered and is a plus-size model.
It shows that there's a genetic basis for why some people are able to bounce back from adverse events.
Thornton and Randall were part of a study conducted of over 2,500 people in the Grady Trauma Project, which studies PTSD. 34% of participants had a genetic marker known as RS322931. People with this marker,
I consider this a blessing,
reported higher levels of positive emotions and spiritual well-being and greater purpose in life, despite personal difficulties.
Positive emotion and purpose in life, those are the building blocks of resilience. They're also the building blocks of psychological well-being.
And initial findings suggested something else.
The people carrying that marker had lower rate of cognitive decline in advanced age.
This is how geneticist and neurologist Dr. Thomas Wingo, who researches early onset Alzheimer's disease, partnered with his wife, psychiatrist Dr. Aliza Wingo, who was studying resilience. The two work at Emory Brain Health Center and the Atlanta VA Medical Center.
I always try to do something else to try to take me away from whatever sad or bad emotions I'm feeling.
The Wingos and their collaborators found there is a genetic basis for resilience, that having purpose in life or positive emotions can lower your risk of dementia by up to 50%. They also lower the risk of heart attack, stroke, even depression. Not having the marker,
We see some that are still, pretty high.
does not mean you're not resilient.
So the other 80% of the people might have another marker that make them resilient that we haven't found yet.
Because it was a double-blind study, neither Randall and Thornton nor the Wingos know if they have the marker, but both are powerful examples of resiliency.
I think I'm really strong, so I know I do have it. I know I have it in me.
It's taught me that troubles don't last forever, and that if you keep a positive attitude, things will eventually work out.
Proof that your outlook on life,
I really love this,
can change the outcome.
There is no test available to the public to see if you're among the 15% who has the resilience gene. But remember, there's a good chance there are many more such genes yet to be discovered. In the meantime, there's no harm in living like we do have it, like Kerry Goode, who still works on his charity, giving to families in need despite his own enormous burden. There may be a lot of genes that tell us who we are, but we only have one life in which to put them to use. That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on Your Fantastic Mind.